OTA's week 3 is in full effect, and Pete Carroll still has all the energy in the world. You'd be surprised if I was to tell you that this guy is still 73 years old. I mean, he's out there wrestling his offensive linemen during warm-ups. I mean, if he can have all this energy in the Las Vegas Heat, then there's no excuse why anybody else on this team can't match that energy as well. Vibes are at an all-time high right now. You got Max Crosby, you got these offensive and defensive players praising Pete Carroll and just the energy that he's bringing to this team. Heck, even JPJ went out on his presser today and said that this is the most fun he's ever had playing football since he was a kid.
I mean, this is the most fun I've had in football since I was a little kid, and it's super exciting. I mean, we're competing, and we're going out there and playing football, so can't complain.
You come in the building every day, and Pete, 70-something years old, man, and he first one in, last one out. He always pumped, ready to go. Why not match that energy? Who am I to say, man, I'm tired? Pete 70-something. Come on, man. He bring the juice every day.
Yo, what is up, Raider Nation? It's your boy, Samoa Raider, back at it again with another video. And today I just want to kind of go over some of the notes that I took from OTA's week 3 and everything that went on today. One of the first things I want to talk about is the depth that the Raiders have on the defensive line. With Christian Wilkins still out with an injury, who's to know when he's going to be returning to the team anytime soon. Even with all that being said, there is still a lot of depth on the defensive line led by Tyree Wilson. Then you got guys like Adam Butler, Jonah Laulu, Zach Carter, Lecky Fotu, Tonka Hemingway, JJ Pegas, and Laki Tassi. So with or without Wilkins, I feel like the Raiders defensive line has shown that they've had a lot of depth and we should be okay at the position. Not to say that we don't need Christian Wilkins, but it just says that the Raiders right now seem to be in a good spot when it comes to the defensive line, and that's not even adding the defensive ends as well. I just hope when the season comes around and we're heading into week 1 going into New England that Christian Wilkins should be good to go. Now, when asked about the defensive tackle room so far without Wilkins, this is what Patrick Graham had to say.
Love the group. You know, the group has been, I think they spearhead them and the defensive ends. They spearhead the message about effort in terms of you see those guys running around. I know you haven't been at every practice, but they're running around after doing a tough individual with Robbie and his crew over there. So that's been the most positive thing that I could talk about right here without getting into any specifics, but the effort and how they play, the play style, how their play style, the relentlessness they play with, and then on top of that, the bond they build off the field. If I ever need a pick-me-up, I go sit in the room. Go sit in the room and just listen to them bond and how they communicate is pretty cool.
Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of work to be done, especially on the defensive side of the ball, but one thing's for sure, we don't really have to worry about the defensive line. Now, moving on to another position group, I want to talk about the leaders in the linebacker room. Of course, the Raiders lost some key pieces in free agency. We know this already with losing Robert Spillane going to New England and then also losing Divine Diablo going to the Atlanta Hawks. But I do feel like the Raiders made some solid acquisitions replacing those two linebackers by bringing in first linebacker Elandon Roberts, then going out and bringing in Devin White. Now, I'm not going to just say that they're going to go out there and ball out, but they do bring a presence to this defense, especially as a leader in the linebacker room. And especially when I look at a guy like Elandon Roberts, he's one guy that I'm really excited to watch this upcoming season. Just the way he, just the way he perceives himself, the way he moves around, and the way he talks with so much knowledge, and just the fact that he can go out there and back it up makes me more excited. And the fact that we brought him over here on a team-friendly deal makes it that much better. I honestly do feel like Roberts is the leader that we have been missing at the linebacker position. And the way that he perceives himself and even talks highly of our head coach, Pete Carroll, what's not to like?
I'm not here to compare because they're great coaches in their own lane. Bill is great in his lane, Pete is great in his lane, and Mike T is great in his, and they all been champions. I think the one thing that do make them all the same is they all been there, and they all have held that Lombardi, so they know what it takes and stuff like that. But like I say, man, Pete is in his own lane. Pete is leading in his own way with his energy, his desire, his standard. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, get on this train. Because if you're not on this train, we're gonna find somebody else to do it, and it just is what it is. And in this league, man, this is a competitive league and stuff like that. And all 32 teams got the same goal, and that's to hold that Lombardi. And if I feel like me personally, if I come here one day and feeling sorry for how hot it is outside or what we have to do today, I'm just cheating the process. because if I'm not every day in here with the mindset of leading my room, being that leader on defense, being the green dot, bringing the juice every day to make sure that we at the standard that we need to be at, then I'm just cheating the process. And that's one thing that I harp myself in every day I wake up. You know what I'm saying? Once I hit them doors, I'm like, let's go. You're going to think like, dang, this motherfucker don't get tired.
So with that said, Roberts and Whites are two guys that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on moving forward, especially throughout the rest of the offseason and going into the preseason and then into the NFL season, because knowing the linebacker room, that's been a position that we've struggled in quite a long time. But I just want to see if these guys can really make up for the lack of talent that we have at the position so far. Now, with that said, moving on to another position group on the defensive side of the ball, let's talk about the cornerback room. There's going to be a lot of competition in the cornerback room, and one thing I can say as of right now, it seems to be our weakest position group on the defensive side of the ball. After losing Nate Hobbs and even Jack Jones, the Raiders are left with Jacorian Bennett, who I believe is one of the more underrated cornerbacks in the NFL when he's on the field. And that's been the biggest thing about him in his career so far, is the fact that he just hasn't been able to stay on the field. Now, adding on to that, of course, the Raiders did address this position group by going into free agency, bringing in guys like Eric Stokes, Lonnie Johnson Jr., Darnay Holmes, and the list goes on. Also going into the NFL draft and addressing the position in the third round, getting one of my favorite prospects in this year's draft in Darian Porter, who I believe is a guy that a lot of people are looking at to possibly win a starting job going into the season. Porter has been getting a lot of praise from his colleagues, from his teammates, from Max Crosby to even JPJ. There's a lot of people talking highly of him, even his coaches. But like I said, there's one thing to go out there and look good in training camp, and it's another thing to look good on Sundays. Now, I'm not going to say that I doubt Darian Porter moving forward. I just wouldn't want to have my expectations really high, especially knowing that this is one of the guys I'm really rooting for. But if there's anybody that can turn this cornerback room around and bring the most out of all the players that we have on the roster as of right now, it's Pete Carroll. We've seen him before with what he's been able to do over there in USC and even over there with the Legion of Boom in Seattle. So even though it seems like the weakest room right now, I feel like they have the high upside as well. Jesse Merrick also tweeted this earlier today about the cornerback room, saying, "Gonna be real interesting to watch the battle develop in the Raiders cornerback room. So far, Stokes and Porter have been running with the ones. A lot of the rookies seem to have turned some heads already." And that's really great to hear. And that's what I'm saying. There's going to be a lot of high upside with this team, especially with this unit. And Darian Porter, a guy that just fits the mold of Pete Carroll's defense and what he wants in a cornerback, the sky's the limit for this guy. And he's definitely going to be a guy that I know a lot of people are going to keep an eye on, especially me. And I'm going to be rooting for him moving forward. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being our best cornerback by the end of the season, but we'll just have to wait and see. But what do you guys think about the defense so far in general? I know that they still need a lot of work, and even Patrick Graham talked about it in today's press conference. With that being said, I know this is a late video, but hey, I just thought I'd get some content out before the day ends. If you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button. Until the next video, this is your boy Simone Raider, and your boy is Yahoo.